With over 20 years experience in the technology field, serving Fortune 500 and small companies alike, he holds 2 degrees and multiple certifications.
Cybersecurity expert
Will Nobles.
Boy, has he had success in his life.
Since I've started my company, I've dedicated myself in helping my clients protect the integrity of their data.
The CEO of Vector Choice Technology Solutions. Please welcome Mr. Will Nobles.
People don't get risk that's out there.
Don't be careless with your technology. Your employees are your #1 security risk that you have.
Someone clicks on a link, spreads across the network, and encrypts the data on that network.
When we're sitting down with a client for the first time, one of the things we're looking at is what are they doing today to protect themselves against cyber attacks.
Just because you're a small firm or you don't have a lot of money, don't think that someone's not trying to hack you. Everybody is vulnerable.
Go into the dark web, look and see of your employees what passwords are out there.
What we do is partner humanity with technology.
Hello. I would like to welcome everybody to Monday morning. I am officially on day 31 of lockdown, and I've been home for 31 days now. I'm surprised my wife and my kids have not killed me. I'm so used to traveling all over the place. But I am actually home for a change, which has been good. I was able to get a lot of cleaning done the past couple of weekends and stuff. So I hope everybody is faring well and doing great. We have an awesome conversation that we're going to be having today. We're going to be talking about development and cloud-based applications. Should you develop in-house? Should you go to cloud-based? And let's get away from that traditional server and that traditional environment where you're locked down, having to be at the office, which if some of my clients and people that are on Facebook today have experienced the headache of having an old software that you're having to be in the office or having a VPN and it's very, very slow. I think looking at development and cloud-based applications might be a great fit for you. For anybody who's new, we are doing these webinars on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 11 to noon. So far, it has not been the whole hour. Really, this is just meant to educate you guys, briefly educate you on what's going on in technology and how can Vector Choice educate you while you're working from home. Just a little bit about me. I am from Eastern North Carolina. I hold 2 degrees, both in technology. I relocated in Atlanta, Georgia in 2002 and launched Vector Choice in 2008. And I've got a little over 22 years of IT experience. The agenda today is who's Vector Choice, the recap of the past webinars, our special guest, Eli, and talk about development and cloud-based applications. At any point, if you guys have any questions and you're on the Zoom, you can do the Q&A. If you're on Facebook, please post your questions on Facebook, and you can do that as well. And then and take any questions that you guys might have. Going to be probably a short webinar today, just because development can be very boring if you don't see the benefit of it. But I love it. I love the aspects of being able to take a customer's data and move it into the cloud where they're being more productive no matter where they're at. We have offices in 4 locations. We serve about 23 states right now, and we've done work in Costa Rica, the UK, Netherlands, the Dominican Republic, and we do a lot with compliancy. Some of our offerings that we got managed services, email, cybersecurity, business technology, software development, which is what we're talking about today. And guys, please remember that this is not a sales call. This is not a sales webinar at all. This is actually just educating you what you can do. If you're interested in reaching out to us, you can do that. If you're wanting to go to someone else, I'm just trying to spark the ideas and your brains are thinking on what else is out there and what can you do. If you are interested in looking at the past webinars, you can go to vectorchoice.com/work-from-home. That's going to be all the webinars and links to anything that we've done. I think we're on week 3 now of webinars. We're going to continue doing this for the next couple of weeks. While everybody is sitting at home, there's several topics people have brought to me that are great ideas and things to talk about. So let's talk about development and cloud-based applications. But before I do that, let me introduce Mr. Eli. Eli, can you, let me turn your video, there we go. How are you doing, sir?
I am great. How are you?
Good, good. So, guys, this is Eli Harrow. He is part of our development team that is actually in the Philippines. Eli is originally from Georgia. I've known him, God, I think Eli, 12 years or so
Something
now,
like that.
something like that. And Eli's been in the Philippines for 6 years now. So, Eli, thank you for being with us. Thank you for coming on and talking. But I do have a question, and I know a lot of people on Facebook and the Zoom conference here. How is the Philippines doing with the coronavirus and what's going on over there? Because I know you hear all the stories in the U.S. How we're handling things, but how's the Philippines handling stuff?
I think we are about a month ahead of the U.S. when it comes to the virus actually kind of, cases happening. But we've been relatively lucky when it comes to the actual virus spread numbers per population. It didn't explode as fast, and I don't know why. I won't speculate on that. But I think we actually are at this point, a more severe lockdown. Like we can't go out. We have to have passes that only one person can go out at a time. Kids and old people can't go out at all, and it's pretty bad as far as just
you actually have to have a pass to go outside your house or your apartment or whatever.
Yeah, and then like the barangays, which are kind of like counties, we can't go. We're near a border that's only half a mile away. We can't go into the next basically county at all. So
wow,
it's quite restrictive.
So I'm taking Home Depot. I don't know if you guys have a Home Depot there, but like a Home Depot type is probably not open like we have here.
Absolutely everything is closed.
Everything.
Grocery stores are the only thing open pretty much. And just
how about fast food and restaurant for even takeout? Do you guys even have that?
Almost none. Some takeout, a few, but not much.
Yeah. So as much as we want to complain, and I see on Facebook and everything, people complaining about us being on lockdown and not able to do things. And as the U.S., we're in a lot better situation in some countries, even like the Philippines, where luckily we don't have to have a pass to leave the house.
Yeah, I know a couple people that have they live in buildings where there's only 3 passes for the whole building that they got because the city only had a certain number to distribute, and they're really stuck. So wow. I guess we all have different things to be grateful for. But if you have more freedom than that, then count your blessings, I guess.
Yeah. Well, hopefully you guys stay well over there, and it seems like things are getting a little better here. I see the numbers dropping a little bit, so I pray that we all get back to normal because it's affecting all our economies and how we do business with everybody. So let's Eli. So let's talk about how have you seen the spike in development requests or I want to move to the cloud because I've got an application that is at my office, but by the way, I can't get to my office anymore because I'm not allowed out of the house. What are you seeing that has changed in the past, this year, for you guys?
Yeah, I would say that, first of all, that's a good question. I'm noticing, first of all, people are just kind of in a frozen state to some degree. So a lot of the plans they might have had are people are having a hard time deciding move forward or not. But obviously we're all realizing that we've got to be more flexible with our workforces. We've got to have more access to our data, and we got to make sure that we have business continuity plans in place no matter what size our companies are, and that we can still operate if something like this happens, for whatever reason. So it's going to be hard for some companies to adapt fast enough during this. But yeah, I was on a call today with a company in Singapore, and they have an ERP solution that they're running, but it's not in the cloud, and they really are stuck because they can't really access what they need to run their business without going to the office, and they literally can't go to the office. So yeah, we're definitely seeing people get stuck without that flexibility.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of people that VPNs are great and you can VPN to your office to get to your data. But the problem with that is that if the ERP or CRM or any kind of software that is not capable of running over a VPN and is very slow, especially like a client install application, it's nearly pointless to even try. And so that's where, we're getting tons of requests in about how can I take this to the cloud? What can I change? What can I do? And that's not, I mean, that's from email to your files to your applications. So what are the pros and cons? So there's a ton of cloud-based companies out there that can do all kinds of things. There's one I think is really cool. It's Monday.com for project management. It's all over the place, and you can drag and drop projects or tasks and projects around. What is the pros of going to a cloud already built, pre-canned application than development? What's the difference in the two?
It definitely depends on the scenario and the situation and what you're trying to do. People would I've been an entrepreneur my whole life, and when I talk to a lot of people in a lot of different businesses, the first thing I would say is 2020, like, we have access to a lot of amazing cloud-based software solutions that are quite customizable and not that expensive. And so if you, depending on what it is that you're trying to do, if it's a standard operating unit of a business like a POS or an inventory tracking, if it's not highly specialized, odds are you'd be better off, I would say, going and shopping those options. And because there are so many, and also because you really ideally need them to talk to each other. So either you buy a really big expensive one that does everything, or you have multiple different cloud solutions that do different parts, but you really need them to talk together. You need the data to flow well, right? So I think most business owners are going to have a really big job cut out for them to do that alone. That I would highly recommend talking to somebody who really can give you some outside perspective and walk you through it. But then the places where building something yourself, building something custom or proprietary for your company would probably make sense would either be if there's a customer facing app or something that you need that's really unique to your brand, or if there's a workflow that's really integral to your business. So, for example, homerepair.com, the one that we've worked on together, is one of those examples where it's so integral to their model that you should, I think, you kind of have to build it, right?
Yeah. And when dealing with, and what I see is a lot of times, because there's so many different apps out there and it's so easy for someone to sign up and test something out. And what we've seen is that owners or managers and departments will just jump on the next bandwagon of software that's out there, but they don't think about how does that integrate with the day-to-day with everything else. And one of the things that, a technology word is open API, and make sure that the software has an open API to other software so they can talk. Just like my business, we have our ticketing system, we have our marketing CRM system, and we have our project system and QuickBooks, and they all integrate together. So I think it's very important that business owners of companies, besides just jumping on the next software that's out there that looks cool, is really bring someone in and say, how can my business process? And that's what a lot of people forget, that what we do for companies, we're not just IT, we're not just here to fix your issues, but we can actually come in with you and me and some of the other engineers and say, here's how we can tie your business process together with technology, with different applications, and bring that really all together, because it's pointless to have an application over here and one over here and they don't talk to each other. So really think about that, and I encourage everybody on Facebook and on the webinar here to think about that before jumping into an application. Make sure it's integrating with the other tools that you're using, because that can just be a complete nightmare of multiple datas all over the place, and things will get lost and very messy really quick. So you brought up, Eli, you brought up home repair. So for everybody, home repair is a client. They're based out of California, but they have a big presence in the East Coast. But the owner lives in California, and when I met him, he literally was running a business, and I think he's fine with me sharing this, with literally running the business off of a spreadsheet. Now, it was probably the most complex spreadsheet that I've ever seen in my life, Excel spreadsheet. It's not, pulling up Excel and some sums and fields and stuff. This was a very, I think he said he spent 15 years putting this spreadsheet together, and how much time he was putting into that. And I was like, we can develop something for you that's web-based, so your team can access it in the field, give quotes, you get real-time feedback. Because there were some fields that he didn't want his salespeople to see from a pricing standpoint and other things, which is a typical business owner, which is needed. And he was having to send some of the fields and get it back. And it was just a lot of extra legwork. So we actually started talking to him, and we've developed a product that's a web-based product. So we really took that spreadsheet and made it pretty on a web-based and more functional for him. So that's some of the things that we could do. So Eli, talk a little bit about the progression of when we first met with him and we looked at the spreadsheet, and just real quick, talk about, how the steps will look for someone coming in and saying, hey, I want you to develop a product for me, and this is what I have. So what are the steps usually from that?
Yeah. So with, using him as an example, and would be similar with any client, but first thing is you got to understand, we have to understand the workflow of that business, right? So what is the workflow that's being managed by what he was doing before, and then what could we invent in our minds that would be the best case scenario at the end of building something that would really streamline all of that into one cloud-based solution. So understanding what his sales guys would be doing when they first showed up on the job site after storm damage, and assessing the damages, measuring things, doing an estimate, talking to the client, getting a signature, and then taking that back and then turning that into a PO and a job order, and all the different things that are happening in the behind the scenes to run his business from all that data, and then turning that into a solution and architecting that, right? So because he hadn't, most of the times when we have a small business like that isn't in the tech world, they don't have an architected, designed, mapped out perfect solution. So it really is a collaborative process to talk to them about what their business does and how could it be streamlined if they built something. Do they need to build something? And I think that's also sometimes we basically end up finding out after a conversation that it's probably not worth building something. You can get something out there, but yeah, I mean,
but
all the way through.
In his case, there was really nothing out there that was in his industry with the complexity that he needed.
Project management.
Development. Yeah, project management. So that was it. Sometimes people think, okay, well, this can do X, Y, Z, but it can't do the other three things I need it to do. And how that really impacts the workflow of the business and slows down the production of getting things out, getting quotes out, and everything. So I don't think just marrying yourself to a piece of software that is not exactly what you need is sometimes risky and can cause you more headache than anything.
Yeah, go back to what you were saying a few minutes ago. Like, I've made that mistake I've been an entrepreneur my whole life, and I've been in quite a few industries, and I can remember back to multiple decisions I personally made where I got enamored with some new software solution and I just loved it and I wanted to do it, and I pushed it through and we did it, and then later on we realized we did not research that well enough, and we did not think about the holistic business when we made that decision.
I think we've all done that. So, all right, well, great. So, and we're also working on one that we're developing. I think we're in the next few months at the end of finishing this up. It's a high-end furniture conglomerate, multiple businesses that came together and put a product together. And because the product that they had was server-based, a server client-based, meaning that the software was installed on the computer, as well it had to run on a server, And the software company sold and really went out of business in a way, so they don't even support the product anymore, which is so many people, especially when we were upgrading from Server 2008 to, at the end of last year. And so many softwares are out there that they purchased the software years ago, but now the software doesn't work because they're out of business, or they don't support the product anymore, and they don't run on a current version of server. Running into that. So that's sort of where they were at. It was a software company went out of business. They were not doing any updates to the particular software, and it was not web-based. So they were stuck with a whole bunch of servers, and each of these furniture companies had different servers that they had to maintain. And so we've developed a product for them. They came together as partners, and we developed a product for them that is all web-based. And that's, so that's some of the things that to think about is, taking a product that you feel like you're stuck in and stuck with because you've used it all these years. It can definitely be improved by going to a web-based application. So Eli, and talk about a little bit about web-based applications versus if I buy a piece of software and install on a server. How does web-based applications, and not from a technical standpoint, but how are they maintained better from security, also upgrades a lot better than actually a server-based install?
Yeah, that might be one of the most important advantages to the kind of the direction software has been heading over the last decade plus, and where we're definitely going in the future is installing software on your devices and buying it one time. Okay, you don't have an ongoing subscription, you don't have to pay anything ever again, perhaps, but then you run into problems like you just described, where either they stop being maintained, or updates become very manual, and you may have to pay for the updates. So with cloud-based software, that's one of the big things a lot of people don't think about, is just that you're getting these automatic updates rolled out all the time. You don't have to think about it. And just like what happens with apps on your phone, if there's a new security issue discovered, then they patch that, and it happens when you're sleeping, and you have to worry a lot less, right? So yeah, I mean, that's, I think, one of the big advantages is just that there are many, but one of them is constant updates, and that they're, because that's part of it. I think you also have to look at it as like that's part of the company's model. If it's a SaaS company, is because that's the benefit of having an ongoing revenue model, is that they're actually funded to be able to improve it over time. So you also get feature improvements that all of their clients, all their customers are giving them feedback on what could be improved, and so you're also getting an evolving product that gets better over time.
Yep. And for everybody on here, SaaS is a software as a service for the non-technical. Sorry. Yeah. I just wanted to make sure I clarified that. Software as a service. Yeah, no, I know. Believe me, and we do it all the time. So, I think some of the biggest concerns with people are, like you brought that up, is I buy a piece of software, I pay for it one time. I have an option if I want to pay the yearly subscription to get updates and stuff like that. But now the world and technology is moving to SaaS, software as a service base, which is a monthly base, and you're paying for what you get. And so a lot of times it's per user or per the amount of data that you have, depending on the software. And a lot of business owners are skeptical. I don't want to pay monthly. I don't want to increase my monthly cost. How now this, obviously this is the cloud-based piece of it, not the development, but how do we, and some of the people are on both Facebook and Zoom. And by the way, if you have a question, please put it in the Q&A. How do you convince your owners to say, okay, yeah, this might add $200 a month to a monthly bill for you, but it's going to do X for you? How can managers or employees convince business owners that a SaaS model is the right direction to go to?
I think, yeah, that's a good question. I haven't really thought deeply about that one before, but I would say my quick answers would be that if you do the research and look at the data, all the best software in the world now is basically software as a service. So just if you look at the hard trends, you can pretty much stand back and say, if I don't go with this kind of trend. I'm probably using something that's a bit antiquated and isn't the best available. Is just one obvious kind of observation. But the long-term benefits to switching over to SaaS, probably just efficiency. I think that's usually where you're going to end up with a lot of just the amount of user experience and user interface work design that's going into newer products. For me, they're just they're just leaps above what was around 10 years ago, and
Yep.
I get so much more done. I get so much more done using like Notion and just some of these new. So I'm just in love with some of these new softwares that are coming on, new solutions that are coming out. So I guess,
So,
but
a lot-
I would just throw one last thing on there is that I think that it depends on what area you're in and how specialized it is. But I think costs are kind of coming down, because it's getting more competitive. There's more and more solutions out there.
Yep.
Yeah. So sorry, go ahead.
No, and I think the one of the biggest things is that when I'm talking to another owner about that is the fact that you might be paying $200, $300, $400 a month for this SaaS software that you're using, but how much more efficient is your employees going to be by working on this? And in return, you don't have to have so many employees. I'm not saying let anybody go because you've implemented software, but just like our accounting, we don't have to have a mass accounting department, even with Vector Choice, because everything is streamlined and automated so much that I don't need a huge accounting department just to do accounting for us. And I think that's where you start seeing everybody become efficient. And, and the biggest thing that I hear is change. Everybody is scared of change. But I hate to tell everybody, technology is changing so fast. It has been since, day one. We've all changed with it, right? The days when we were working on a typewriter and all the way up to remember the flip phones, and now you can really be very productive on your mobile phone and really run your business from your mobile phone today. So we've changed. So I think as owners as well as employees, you have to accept the change and hoping that the ownership of your company is using guidance from a technology and business process to actually implement the right software for you. Now I understand not liking change if they're just throwing it out there, but if they're actually going through a process and getting the right tool for you and everything. So again, if anybody has any questions for Eli or myself on this, please let us know. So Eli, what were you going to say?
It's just funny how we humans seem to misinterpret the nature of just the universe and our own existence. Like, what doesn't change? There's nothing that's actually static. And there's a really interesting futurist I would highly recommend listening to. I think his name is Daniel Burrus. I could send you the video later, but just was watching an interview about what's going on in the world right now with COVID, and he's talking about anticipatory and agile. And we just really need to be more not only agile and so adaptable and flexible, but also anticipatory. And so knowing what trends are hard and what trends are soft, and like what trends we really can be certain about, I think is important. And these trends we're talking about there's no question that software and the way the way business is being done is just clearly heading in these directions. And we all need, no matter what size the company is, we should be taking advantage of it.
Yep. And you hear so many people, business advisors say you have to know your numbers. You have to know your numbers. But I think it's hard sometimes to know your numbers if you don't have some tools to pull those numbers together, because every time, you would have to go to your accounting or you have to go to your operations team and say, what are the numbers on this? I have a simple dashboard that I can pull up and I can see my numbers. I can see everything that's going on with a dashboard approach. And because it's tying all my tools together, I can actually see everything from finance to tickets to projects to, what's my checking account, all in one dashboard. And the power of that, just the fact that I don't have to go to multiple resources and wait for them to pull the numbers and waste their time, and I'm waiting around for them to get that done. That dashboard's right there. So I would definitely encourage everybody to start, one, know your numbers. So that's definitely a key. And I think knowing your number is putting in automation for yourself. If you, Eli, so let's talk about the development. We talked a lot about cloud-based applications, but the development, and we've touched a little bit on it, but when is it when we're sitting down with a client that some of the things that they're saying that we say, you know what, there's a cloud application that can do that for you, or let us research it, to, you know what, this is going to be a custom development, and the reason for that? When's that sort of line, when we're talking to clients, when does that, line change to development?
Yeah, again, I think if it's really core to your business and it needs to be proprietary. So again, going back to home repair, it's what allows him to scale that brand, and it's something that he gives to his franchisees, et cetera. Like that's something that allows him to scale his system. So if you have a unique workflow that existing software as a service platforms don't really cover, and you can't really easily flex it, or it needs to be really branded and it needs to be something customer facing,
yeah.
that then it may be wise. And the benefit of that is that once you build it, you own it, and you don't, of course, you may need to pay when you want to improve it. You're going to need, there's going to be some ongoing costs. But I would also say, is it a revenue generating thing? Is it something that is core to your business, where that software that you're going to build is actually going to make you more money? Is it something that your clients will benefit from? Does it deliver a better service? In which case, it probably would be worth considering.
Yeah. I think, and sort of, sparking some thoughts as you're talking there, is I think the key is the development. If you've got two tools that you're using, and I see this so many times, that the person is bringing everything into a spreadsheet from those two tools to get the actual proper data, that it's so much easier to develop a middleman in the middle, I guess you would say, to be able to talk to both of those to produce that for you, the time that it saves the employee and you to pulling that type of data from both systems. I see that a lot where two systems don't talk to each other. So, Yep. So guys, Eli, anything else to add on the development or cloud-based applications? Like I told you guys before, we're not trying to sell you anything on these calls. It's just really educating you what's out there. Obviously, we all know cloud-based applications that are out there. And a quick question before I end on that, Eli. One of the questions I get a lot of times is, if you guys develop this tool for me, what do you develop it in? And we don't have to talk about exactly what we develop in, but they always ask what we develop it in, and then do they own the source code, as well as if they ever wanted to leave Vector and move the source code and someone else to another development company, are they allowed to do that? And my answer is yes. It is your source code after the project's done.
Yeah, I'm surprised how often we get that question. We treat everybody we work with as partners and long-term relationships. Absolutely, we're building a piece of software for you that's yours, 100%, no question. What we build in, it kind of depends on the needs. Sometimes people are already set up in Azure, sometimes they're already set up in AWS. Like there depends on a few different things, but we have certain tech stacks that we work with a lot, and others we can work with. So
Cool.
It kind of depends on what you're trying to build. If it's a mobile app versus a enterprise web app, it's going to be different needs.
Yep. All right. Well, Eli, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I'm going to pull up our PowerPoint here and everything. So guys, again, if you have any additional questions that you want to ask, Q&A, and also the Facebook chat there. And so let's talk about Wednesday's webinar. Wednesday's webinar, we're going to be talking about basic PC and laptop troubleshooting, something that you don't need a technical person to do, but little things that you're able to do on your own. I'm going to have one of my engineers on the phone, and we're just going to be going through a few things that you can do on your own to keep your home computer up and safe, as well as your work computer that you have access to on your work computer. So definitely be there for that. Some of the free services and other information to share with you guys, and these are some of the things that's being accumulated through the webinars. We do have a big green egg campaign going on for referrals. So if you want to refer any business to us, you can go to that website and put their information in, and we'll reach out to them. And we're going to be doing that May the 30th, the giveaway for the big green egg. And then also the free home. We're doing for 60 days. We're going to provide our remote management system, our antivirus and backup for your home computer for 60 days, if you're interested with that. And then as well as if a new client signs up with us, we're giving the first 60 days for free, no matter what size client it is and no matter where they're at. We're giving the first 60 days to them for free. We're trying to give back to help with the times that we're in, and just give that a helping hand. If you are interested in anything we had to say today, you can contact me at wnobles@vectorchoice.com or call us at 678-701-0212. 1212 is my number, and a direct number, but 0210. I appreciate everybody being on Facebook and the webinar today. Please continue staying home, stay safe. I hope you and your family are still healthy, and everybody comes out this on top as much as we can. Keep your heads up, and God bless, and you guys have a wonderful rest of the week.